Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into the world of a parasite that holds a pretty startling record. It's a wild story that involves microscopic eggs, an unsuspecting snail, and a journey that ends, believe it or not, inside the human intestine. Okay, take a look at this. This is an adult Fasciolopsis buski. And that ruler isn't just for show. It's there to give you a sense of scale, because this is no microscopic pest. In fact, what you're looking at is the largest of its kind that can infect humans. That's right, it's the giant intestinal fluke. So the big question is, how does an organism this large pull off its epic journey from a quiet freshwater pond all the way into the human gut? Well, let's find out. Section 1, Meet the Giant Fluke. First things first, let's get a really clear biological profile of this parasite. Right off the bat, you need to know that unlike single-celled parasites you might have heard of, like Giardia, Fasciolopsis buski is a metazoan. That means it's a complex, multi-celled animal with specialized organs. And as an endoparasite, it doesn't just hang out on the outside. It makes its home deep inside its host, specifically in the small intestine. Now, when you look at its taxonomy, its family tree, one thing really pops out. Its family, Fasciolidae. This actually makes it a very close cousin to the much more famous liver flukes. But here's the cool part. While its relatives evolved to live in the liver, Fasciolopsis buski went its own way and specialized, adapting to the completely different and challenging environment of the intestine. You know, you won't find this parasite just anywhere. It's pretty picky. Its distribution is really tightly linked to a specific set of environmental and cultural factors, mostly across Asia and the Indian subcontinent. It basically thrives where you have this perfect storm of freshwater snails, the farming of aquatic plants, and pig raising all overlapping. That creates the absolute ideal habitat for its life cycle to flourish. Section 2, An Epic Parasite Journey. So how does it make that leap from a pond to a person? The answer is just this brilliant multi-stage strategy that is honestly one of the most elaborate in the entire parasite world. This amazing diagram from the CDC shows the whole journey. Just notice the key players here. You've got a snail as the middleman, aquatic plants as the delivery vehicle, and then both pigs and humans as the final destinations. It's a total masterclass in biological adaptation. Okay, let's break this down. It all starts with microscopic eggs that are passed in the feces of an infected host. In freshwater, these eggs hatch into larvae called Morasidia, and they have one mission and one mission only: find a specific type of snail. Once inside that snail, an incredible transformation happens. They multiply into thousands of next-stage larvae. These are then released back into the water, where they find an aquatic plant, latch on, and form a tiny infectious cyst, just waiting for that final step, to be eaten by an unsuspecting human or pig. And these tiny little freshwater snails, they are the absolute linchpin of the entire cycle. They are the essential intermediate host, basically acting as a biological factory where a single parasite larva can multiply into thousands, which dramatically amps up the infection risk in that local environment. So after it leaves the snail, the parasite sets a trap. It forms a little cyst on the surfaces of edible plants, like water chestnuts or lotus root. The infection gets transmitted when people eat these plants raw, or even if they just use their teeth to peel off the outer layer, unknowingly swallowing the hidden parasite. Section 3, The Invasion Within. Okay, so once it's swallowed, the parasite's cyst dissolves in the small intestine. The young fluke pops out, attaches to the intestinal wall, and starts to mature into an adult. So what does this invasion actually feel like for the host? Well, in many cases, a person who only has a few flukes might not have any symptoms at all. They might not even know they're there. But in heavy infections, the sheer physical size and number of these worms causes really serious problems. We're talking abdominal pain, chronic diarrhea, and trouble absorbing nutrients. In the most extreme cases, patients can develop severe swelling and even a life-threatening intestinal blockage from just a tangled mass of worms. The disease itself, which is called Fasciolopsis, progresses over time. So after an incubation period that can last a couple of months while the flukes are growing up, symptoms start to appear. For the really unlucky few with a very high worm burden, this can eventually advance to a complicated obstructive phase. Section 4, Unmasking the Parasite. So, given that a light infection can be totally asymptomatic, how do doctors even know it's there? Well, the standard method is pretty straightforward, but it comes with a pretty big diagnostic challenge. Diagnosis usually relies on finding the parasite's eggs in a stool sample, But this is where it gets really tricky, and this slide just illustrates it perfectly. The egg of our intestinal fluke, Fasciolopsis buski on the left, is visually, well, it's indistinguishable from the egg of the liver fluke, Fasciola hepatica, on the right. Under a microscope, they look identical.
This is why context is everything. For a doctor, say, in a place like the Netherlands, where the liver fluke is present but the giant intestinal fluke is not, this distinction is absolutely critical. They have to ask about the patient's travel and dietary history. Did they recently travel to Asia and eat raw aquatic plants? Or did they maybe just eat some locally grown watercress? The answers point to two completely different infections.
Now, to get around this microscopic mimicry, clinicians can turn to more advanced tools. Serology can look for the specific antibodies your immune system creates to fight the parasite, while cool molecular methods like PCR can actually detect the fluke's unique DNA, which gives a definitive, no doubt about it answer. Section 5. Fighting the fluke. So how do we combat this parasite once it's diagnosed? And maybe more importantly, how do we prevent the infection from ever happening in the first place? Well, the good news is that the treatment is very effective. A drug called praziquantel is the standard of care, and it works really, really well to kill the adult flukes in the intestine. But as always, prevention is the ultimate goal. And for Fasciolopsis buski, the strategies are crystal clear. The single most important thing you can do is to always cook aquatic vegetables thoroughly. Beyond that, broader public health efforts focus on improving sanitation to keep waste out of the water, controlling those snail populations, and treating infected pigs, which act as a key reservoir for the parasite. So looking ahead, what new tools are being developed to help control and maybe one day even eliminate this neglected tropical disease? This is where technology offers some really incredible new hope. Scientists are using computer modeling to design virtual vaccines, basically testing potential vaccine candidates on a computer before they even reach a lab. And at the same time, AI-powered diagnostic tools are being developed that could analyze microscope images automatically, making it way faster and easier to identify infections, even in remote, low-resource areas. We've built this whole explainer using advanced research tools to synthesize information from a ton of scientific literature and CDC resources, all to bring you this comprehensive overview. For those of you who want to dig even deeper, a full list of our sources is available in the linked Notebook LM document. If you found this deep dive into the world of the giant intestinal fluke as fascinating as we did, please subscribe to our channel for more explainers on the hidden world around us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Was there anything about its life cycle that just blew your mind? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.